from Carly Rae Jepsen and her newest album, Dedicated. Carly Rae Jepsen, man. I mean, I haven't been following her closely, but every time I hear the name, I just think of Call Me Maybe. Um,
Hmm.
and that seems to be what's really defined her. Obviously, a smash hit when it came out, and incredibly infectious and catchy song.
Best-selling song of 2012 was hard to overstate just how big that song was. But I think the whole takeaway after that was that the album Kiss that she put that on didn't do that well. It was like 46,000 first week. And like that was kind of the whole talk of her career is why didn't Carly Rae Jepsen become a pop star, capital P, like really big? And then that question only continued to grow as Emotion and Emotion Side B album and EP came out and were just like critically acclaimed pop records. Like I
Mhm.
think Emotion is like arguably one of the most lauded pure pop albums of the 2010s.
Yep.
Yet no one really listened to it. So there
Mhm.
was this whole back and forth of is Carly Rae Jepsen actually good, or is she just something the critics are pushing that doesn't actually have an audience? Um, so I don't know how much you were really following that like convo because again, she wasn't like super mainstream. Obviously, it's just kind of like the undercurrents, internet, Tumblr pop, um, as she became like an icon for the LGBTQ community and stuff like that. But I think I kind of like got back on board. I heard Emotion Side B before I heard Emotion, and I was like, wait, this is actually like really awesome. And I think like, first time was good, and then she did the re-release with Cut to the Feeling, which is really awesome pop song. Really tough to have any issues with that. And then I was just, I don't know, from there, I was actually kind of anticipating the next thing because I feel like the internet had like bigged her up for everyone. And this album, Dedicated, had a lot of hype riding on it. But I mean, what did you think of it, given that you weren't really paying attention to this lead up, this online fever pitch that was the Church of Carly Rae? What did you think?
Well, I was aware that Emotion was pretty critically acclaimed and liked. It's a record I haven't listened to many of the songs on.
Hmm.
Um, and I was also aware that there was some push that she was better than what her stardom at this point actually would lead you to believe. Um, it's actually interesting you talked about it. Her career seems to have gone kind of like inverse what you would expect, like having this major pop hit at the beginning and then to kind of not get as much recognition moving forward. But to continue making music, and she writes a lot. So going into Dedicated, I was kind of expecting a incredibly quality album, but probably nothing I was gonna come away really loving, and that's exactly kind of what I got. Was I thought there were a lot of songs on here that were pretty good, and that I would listen to. She really infuses like disco into these
Yes.
songs in a way, but almost in like a very relaxed way, which I find interesting. But I think it makes the songs really pleasurable to listen to. Um, and I love that about it. But I also didn't leave here being like, that album, can't wait to go back to it.
Hmm.
It's probably an album I'll listen to maybe once or twice more, a couple songs off it, but not one I'm gonna love this year. What did you think of Dedicated though?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I can like, and both times recognize that it's a respectable, well written, emotional pop album, but also not want to revisit most of it. Like, I don't have really a problem on much of it. I think, as you said, I think the 80s influence overall is really cool just because that's not super common in
Mhm.
pop star uh, aspiring music. But I think like, actually the first track, I think was maybe the second single, Julian.
Mhm.
Um, that's just like a full like post disco song, kind of
Yep.
like a Casey Musgraves High Horse idea, like it, and that song's awesome. I think that song's really good. But some of the other singles I think are fine. They're really cool. I definitely like Emotion Side B more than this, but I think this is kind of gonna keep it going for her. And
Mhm.
I mean, I was looking at like who she's signed to and stuff. I mean, she's on some like Universal imprints. I believe Scooter Braun is involved in her career. So I think they're really going to make a big push for her to get bigger off this. But even if she doesn't, I don't think it's like a concern anymore just because that fan base is real and is loyal. It was not made up by the critics.
Mhm.
So even if I'm not going to like run this start to back the way I feel like you can kind of effortlessly listen to Emotion Side B, uh, I still really respect it, and I think it's interesting just because pop music today like the traditional definition of pop music, is pretty sanitized, pretty samey. Um, so much so to the point that country music is ripping it off. We've talked about this before.
Hmm.
So the fact that someone like Carly Rae can come in and kind of stick to her guns in terms of just not jeopardizing her songwriting and also taking influence from stuff that's not super in vogue, I think is pretty respectable. So good
You
stuff.
you didn't even mention her best pop song on this album, which is "Want You in My Room," produced and co-written by our guy Jack Antonoff. And that would actually, I think, be a really interesting pairing because it sounds um, like the energy she brings in that song really stood out to me from other ones, from a lot of the other tracks on this album. And I think infusing her songs with a little bit more energy and I don't know, mood maybe might be really good. And I think
Mhm.
Antonoff does that really well. And it seems like she's just like a pure songwriter. Like she could crank out a bunch of songs and let Antonoff put like a spin on a whole record of them. I think could be really interesting, especially um, maybe even bringing in like Lord or something like that as like a collaboration. Because obviously
Mm,
Antonoff and Lord,
sure.
I think that could be something that could potentially propel Jepsen moving forward. I'm just spitballing ideas out here. You know, if a record label wants to sign me to be an ideas man, I'm totally here for it.
A&R. Let's
Yeah,
go.
absolutely. So I think we're probably gonna put one song on the playlist. Haven't done that yet, but we'll be updating that soon.